Good morning, everybody. It's Coach RJ here, and my mission is to get you 1% better in your life, help you be the best version of you, and ultimately help you to grow through your health, fitness, and nutrition. Now, another question that came in is how much body fat can one actually lose? Now, this really depends on the individual, right? And a lot of people, when they jump into a program, even if it's like 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, like what ends up happening is that depending on where you were when you first started, and where you are right now, is going to be dependent on what your body actually needs to do. So initially, when people start working out, usually the first thing that happens is they'll start to lose weight, right? We've seen anywhere in a 21-day and a 28-day program, people have lost anywhere from 5 all the way up to 15 pounds. I've seen a guy that lost 20 pounds in his first month. And when you lose that much weight, it's just telling you that that's what your body has to lose initially in order to get you to match the activity output that you're doing, right? Like if you're moving around a ton of weight, just think about it. If you had a backpack on your back and you had a lot of weight in that backpack, eventually you're going to want to take it off, right? Like, because that's just not what you want to. If you start walking around and you don't need this backpack on your back, you're going to want to take that backpack off first, right? And so that's basically how your body sees extra weight as, is it just needs to lose whatever it needs to match in order to get your body moving. Now, when it comes to body fat, your body won't necessarily shrink all your body fat right away. And the reason why is because it's gotten so used to that body fat just sitting in your body dormant, right? So it's like it's there, it's basically used for storage, and then little bit of fuel, right? And so basically you have two major energy sources in your body. The number one thing that you have is you have your body fat and you have your carbohydrates, right? So your glucose, and your body wants to utilize glucose first as fuel to whatever it is that you need to do. So if you need to get out of bed, right? Or if you need to go up and down stairs, right? Basics like that, then your body's going to want to use glucose as a preferred fuel source. And so right now, and again, depending on how long you've been inactive, is going to be dependent on how fast your body's going to want to lose body fat, right? So somebody that's been really active all their life, somebody that was working out for years, and they come and try a Fit Club program, well, their body is going to not only lose the weight, but it's also going to start to shred the fat fairly fast. But somebody that's been very inactive for a while, the body fat takes longer to drop. And that's one of the reasons why, right now we're doing a Black Friday special where you can buy either 6 months or 12 months up full with a really great rate, is because it takes about 6 months before you start to really, really, really see that transformation. And again, that's dependent upon whatever your starting point was. Some people, they need longer. They need at least a year. And the success we see with people with the 2-year and the 3-year mark is amazing, right? Like now, even if they were to go and the holidays, right, where most people gain the most amount of weight, when they go through the holidays, they'll be able to not only offset that a lot better, but they'll be able to rebound and get back to pre-shape faster than anybody else that isn't currently active with us, right? And like we see this a lot with the women that get pregnant and have children, is that they end up like rebounding very quick, just like my wife, right? Like she got back to her pre-pregnancy weight pretty quick. And so when it comes to body fat and how it should be like how fast or how much fat can you drop per week, well, on an upper scale, right? So like somebody that's has been working out consistently for at least 3 to 6 months, somebody that does the intermittent fasting, somebody that eats 80% or more of their caloric intake is coming from clean calories, and somebody that does a 30-minute workout at least 4 to 5 times a week, okay, then that person is on the upper scale, right? And so that person would be able to drop about 0.5% body fat per week. Now, you can do that up to about 2%, right? So you can do that up to about 2%. And then when you get to that 2%, that's when you maintain it for 4 weeks, right? Because whatever you're doing up to that 2%, and now that's like kind of like creating a new set point. So the body fat could increase, it could decrease, but ultimately we want it to stay in that mid-range, right? So about 2%. So 4 weeks to get you down to 2%, and then another 4 weeks to kind of stabilize that. But you have to like be on point for that entire time. So it can't be like the 4 weeks you eat clean, 90% of your calories are coming from clean calories, and then once you hit that point, you go out and like have a binge weekend, right? Because as soon as you like ingest all that extra calories, and especially calories that are coming from high glycemic foods, then what ends up happening is the calories just go right back into fat storage, right? It's not like you remove the fat cells, right? It's not like just poof, they're gone. Like they sit in there, they just shrink, and they're just waiting for you to kind of refill them. And so that's why you need longevity with this, right? You need to be on it more longer than you need to be off it, right? You can't just go on a 21-day kick and then all of a sudden like your everything is completely changed, right? Like nothing in life happens like that, right? It has to be the long game. And really that's what we want to see from all our members, is thinking about the long road. And that's why we put the 1,000 workout on the wall. And I'm not talking like you need to do 1,000 workouts in like 1,000 days. Like I'm talking like take your time, right? Establish your workout routine, establish your efforts that you put into the workout, establish your eating, establish your supplement plan, right? Like be on something longer than you've been off it, right? So if you're like, let's say you're 40, right? You're 40 years old and you just started working out, right? Before you were 40, you weren't active, right? And that's the majority of like when people come in here, is that maybe they were doing some type of like workout program in their basement, or maybe they were doing like going to a big box gym and running on a treadmill, or that's basics of what it is. Now it's like, okay, you've been like, let's say out of a 10, right? You come and work out, that's a 10 out of a 10. And then when you were working out prior, you were only like a 2. So it's like you have 40 years of being a 2, but you have like only 4 months or 6 months or 14 months of being completely active. So we have to build up this new you where you're going to be consistently on your meal plan. And I always say, if it's not in diet mode, right? I always go through like extreme diet modes, and that's why I love the 6 weeks, is that's the time where I really dial in and I'm like 90% or more on my nutrition. But the rest of the year, I'm sitting at least an 8 out of 10, how I would rate it, right? So if you write down all your foods and then you're like, okay, check mark, that's good, check mark, that's good, check cross, that's bad, that's bad, that's bad, and then check mark, that's good, you're at like 50-50, right? Think about that, right? So just write down the food that you eat, and then you give it a check mark or an X, and you need to be at an 8 or 10 of that's saying that you're clean. When you're really going through a heavy part of clean eating, you want to be at least a 10 out of 10. And so to manipulate your body fat, how much body fat can you lose? Well, that all depends on what was your life like before joining Fit Club or joining a program that is like similar or a high intensity program. B, how on are you with your nutrition? Are you at least an 8 out of 10? And C, it's like, how long have you been doing it, right? Because we want to make sure that you just don't start it and then all of a sudden you're doing 4 or 5 workouts a day where your body's deteriorating, right? And you're trying to go extreme dieting where you're like 10 out of 10 for like 6 days, and then one day you go 0 out of 10, right? So it's like it just counterbalances each other. So we want to create a steady set point, right, between the three. So let's create a workout, like come to the gym 5 days a week, right? Number one. Number two, let's make sure that you're writing in, tracking your nutrition so that you're at least an 8 out of 10, because there's going to be times where you're going to be like a 3. So it's like if you go out and buy a bag of almonds or dates or whatever it might be, and you eat the entire thing, then guess what? Like that would be considered a 3, right? Because it's cleaner foods. It's not junk food, but you ate the whole bag. So now that's kind of like we need to bring that up to an 8. So instead of eating the whole bag, you eat a quarter of the bag. And then number 3 is like, how long have you been at this, right? Because those are all going to be ways that your body is going to manipulate the body fat, but it has to turn itself from a carb burner into a fat burner. And so I hope that helps everybody. I would rewatch this video again just so you can get massive clarity on it, because we have to put it into perspective. So your goal is to get to 2% and maintain that 2% for 4 weeks. But make sure that you're on point with your workouts, right? You're making it 5 days a week, or 4 or 5. That's, that would be my minimum, is 4 days a week at 30 minutes. You can do it. That's only 2 hours of your day. And then number 2, make sure you're always at an 8 out of 10 with your nutrition. And I'm talking about throughout the week. So if at the end of the week you had 100 meals, then make sure that at least 8 of them were clean, or 80% of those 80 of those were clean. And then if you ate out twice a week or whatever it is, then that would take those away from there. So you got to have that more consistently on your plan than off your plan. And then number 3 is that let's retransform your body so that it's not just focused on getting energy sources from carbohydrates and high glycemic carbohydrates and breads and cereals. We want it to focus on burning from your fat cells and taking the food that you're eating and putting it into muscle cells or wherever it needs in order for it to grow and in order for it to reshape you and shrink you and tone you up in the way that you want to look. So that's it for today, everybody. I want you to get 1% better, and I want to see you be the best version of you. And ultimately, visit us online at www.fitclub.fit, because I'll see you on the blue.